and he was on the runway, and there was no sound, but the cars and the airport just drifted. So I just thought that we should keep it in the video, and this is the video that I took. And so it was really sickening, as if a swarm of insects were attacking. It was really not a terror of being attacked, but it felt sick at first. The tsunami had engulfed everything, and the tsunami approached the building Mr. Kobayashi was in, and the cars came in, and the aircraft came drifting by, and that really gave me a surreal feeling. The tsunami had engulfed the area of the airport, and air fuel that was smelled. There was a smell of air fuel, and Kobayashi says that when he saw the water gushing into the compound, there was the sound of the water, and then he saw the windows and the glass cracking and breaking, and that really made him feel that this is reality. And it was only in the afternoon that the water level fell. And Mr. Kobayashi placed at the desk outside, and together with 160 colleagues, he was able to evacuate from the
At 3 p.m. Friday afternoon, Kamaishi City Hall issued a tsunami warning. Residents quickly evacuated their homes, looking for higher ground. These people managed to get to this hilltop. Mothers held on tightly to their children. They listened anxiously to the radio for more information.
港の境を越えて水が今、入り込んできています。
At 3:11, massive tsunami swept through the city.
Rescue teams coming from overseas are set to arrive in Japan's northeastern region, which was hit by Friday's massive earthquake and tsunami.
We are, of course, nervous, but in a positive way. We have trained for this sort of work. We know what we have to do, and now we have the chance to help people in Japan.
A German team of about 40 rescue personnel plus search dogs left for Japan on Saturday. France has announced the dispatch of 2 rescue teams. A British group of 63 rescue personnel and doctors departed for Japan on Saturday night. China is also sending more than 10 rescue personnel to Japan. The United States team is heading to its Misawa base in Aomori Prefecture, northern Japan, on Sunday. The nuclear-powered aircraft carrier USS Ronald Reagan will start operations on Sunday. Russian Prime Minister Vladimir Putin held a cabinet meeting on Saturday. He vowed to provide support to Japan. He also ordered preparations to increase supplies of natural gas to Japan from the Sakhalin-2 project for shortages of electricity. And the United Nations decided to send 7 members of its disaster assessment and coordination team to oversee the operations by various nations. The Japanese government rates the accident at the Fukushima No. 1 nuclear power plant at level 4 on an international scale of 0 to 7. 2 radioactive substances, cesium and iodine, were detected near the No. 1 reactor at the plant on Saturday. Their presence indicates nuclear fission of uranium. The Nuclear and Industrial Safety Agency said that fuel in the reactor partially melted. It's the first time such accident happened in Japan. A level 4 on the international nuclear event scale includes damage to fuel and release of significant quantities of radioactive material within an installation. It's the same level as the criticality accident at a nuclear fuel processing plant in Tokai village in Ibaraki Prefecture south of Fukushima in 1999. Meanwhile, Tokyo Electric Power Company says it reported the emergency at the Fukushima No. 3 reactor. At the No. 2 plant, temperatures in the 3 reactors also remain higher than normal. Temperatures of coolant water have exceeded 100 degrees Celsius, up from the usual 30 degrees. The facility is considering its options, which include restoring failed equipment that inputs cooling water. The government's Nuclear Industrial Safety Agency says that 9 people have been found to be exposed to radiation. They reside within a 20-kilometer radius from the Fukushima No. 1 nuclear power plant. 2 days have passed since the devastating magnitude 8.8 quake, the strongest on record in Japan. On Sunday morning, the Meteorological Agency downgraded tsunami warnings issued for Pacific coastal areas in northern Japan to advisories. Friday's quake measured an intensity of 7 on the Japanese scale of 0 to 7. It caused massive tsunami waves along the Pacific coast of northeastern Japan, one of which was over 7.3 meters. The tsunamis washed away hundreds of people and houses. The agency downgraded its tsunami alert to an advisory, but the danger of tsunami waves remains. It also says aftershocks are continuing mainly off the Pacific coast of Japan and advises residents to stay alert for building collapses and landslides. Could reach more than 1,000. 10,000 more are stranded in a town in Miyagi Prefecture, which was washed away by the tsunami. The northern part of Miyagi was hit hardest. A tsunami pounded Sendai city, washing inland 10 kilometers. In Miyagi, 178 people have been confirmed dead. The death toll is expected to climb to over 500. Rescue and identification efforts are being slowed because much of the area is underwater. In neighboring Fukushima Prefecture, 206 people have been confirmed dead. A tsunami higher than 7.3 meters hit a port in the prefecture. Wide stretches of the coastline are still flooded. In Iwate Prefecture, at least 258 people have been confirmed dead, and the number of fatalities is expected to rise to more than 500. In Tokyo and neighboring prefectures, 42 people have died, some after being hit by falling objects. And you're watching the Kasennuma city this morning. We'll be back with more reports later, so do stay with us. And 2 days have been passed since the devastating magnitude 8.8 quake, the strongest on record in Japan. On Sunday morning, the Meteorological Agency downgraded tsunami warnings issued for Pacific coastal areas in northern Japan to advisories. Friday's quake measured an intensity of 7 on the Japanese scale of 0 to 7. It caused massive tsunami waves along the Pacific coast of northeastern Japan, one of which was over 7.3 meters. The tsunamis washed away hundreds of people and houses. The agency downgraded its tsunami alert to an advisory, but the danger of tsunami waves remains. There'll be more reports and updates. Nuclear power plant.
In the reactor, we have the fuel, and it is in a condition of high temperature. And so we have to cool the reactor itself. And in order to cool the reactor, what is needed is to put water into this container, this part, yes. And we are supposed to place water. Not the pressure vessel, but the overall container. And for that, we need a large volume of water. And to find water, we will be using seawater. And then we'll be able to fill the whole container itself. However, wouldn't the seawater leak? But you're going to fill it, right? Yes. When the container is filled, we'll be able to cool the pressure container. But of course, there will be some radiation inside the container. So therefore, the seawater that will be filled here will contain radioactive material. So therefore, we need to make sure that we will be able to contain the water which may leak, and management is required. And so by putting in the seawater, will we be able to secure safety of this reactor? Yes. Well, there are no major damage to the container itself, so we'll be able to secure the functionality of the container to keep the radioactive substance inside. So we believe that there will be no danger of massive amount of radioactive substances to leak. Well, yesterday there was an explosion, and the building is now only in framework now. So wouldn't there be any radioactive substances that will be leaking in the air? Of course, the building itself had a function of containing radioactive substances. It was very important, but even without the building, if the container is safe, we'll be able to contain radioactive substances inside the container. Also, this container itself is firm, so you believe that radioactive leakage will not happen. Yes. Then going forward, what will be the points to watch? Well, the temperature inside the reactor should be monitored, and we have to make sure that it will lower down. We have water inside, and so we have to make sure that it wouldn't boil. So that means that the temperature should be kept below 100 degrees. And until that point, we need to cool the reactor.
A meltdown is caused when the tremendous heat generated by nuclear fission can't be cooled down. It could be caused by cooling water inside the reactor leaking or other reasons. At the Fukushima No. 1 plant, an electric outage combined with the failure of power generators meant water could not be pumped into the reactor. None of the means of cooling down the core was functional. As the water level in the reactor fell, about half of a 4-meter nuclear fuel rod was exposed. This caused part of fuel to melt. There must be enough water inside the reactor to cool down the nuclear fuel in order to avoid a meltdown. This is the first meltdown, even partially, that Japan has ever experienced. When the meltdown happened at 3 Mile Island in the US in 1979, the core was in a state of boil dry. Nearly half the fuel melted and a massive amount of radioactive material was released to surrounding areas. A group of municipalities that are home to nuclear power plants in Japan have urged their central government to do all it can to ensure the safety of the facilities. The statement came after a radiation leak forced people to evacuate the area in a 20 kilometers radius around the